So I wasn't really planning on making this video, another video criticizing Randy Blockett, but he had brought up free speech and cancel culture that's going on right now, and why can't we just sit down and have a conversation? Well, I'm assuming he's referring to the cancel culture of all the people losing their jobs for mocking the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So he's one of the few guys that was trying to sit down and have a conversation and use his free speech, and now he's gone. So that's kind of what prompted me to make this video. But what Randy was talking about, and we've all heard him talk about this before, is all of his professional buddies that he talks to all the time and how upset they are with the direction tournament bass fishing are going, and you know, how much they hate forward facing sonar and it's a cheater box, and they're all just too afraid to speak up and voice their opinion because they're gonna lose their job or there's gonna be some consequences. And that was part of his little rant he went on about free speech. Well, couple of things. You have free speech. You can say whatever the hell you want. Doesn't mean it's free of consequences. You know, I go up to a group of black guys and I call them the N-word. There's a good chance I'm going to catch an ass whooping. And I should expect it, right? So a couple of things here. He keeps talking about all those pro buddies and how fed up they are with everything and all of these different, which if it's true. So that's my whole thing. He's either bullshitting about all of his buddies, and he just uses like, man, I talked to all these guys, but they're not willing to stand up and say nothing. But believe me, guys, when I say that I talked to a whole bunch of these professionals in the tournament series and they're all mad. Just believe me. So he's either bullshitting or these guys really are upset and they're afraid to speak up in fear of losing sponsorships or getting penalized or whatever. And if that's the case, your friends are cowards. I mean, bottom line, I wouldn't associate with people like that, to be honest with you. If you're too afraid to stand on your morals or stand on your values, what are you really? You know? You're a coward, as far as I'm concerned. If it's really that upsetting to you, and if you're really that afraid of losing your whole livelihood for voicing your opinion, at some point, you know, he had mentioned in his video, Randy did, about all the Americans that fought for this freedom. Yeah, because they weren't cowards. They weren't cowards. They were pissed, and they fought back against a tyrannical government. So if these bass organizations or this big tyrannical conglomerate stand up, you know, if there's so many of these guys in the tournament series that are just as mad as each other, you get half the series together to stand up against them. They're not going to DQ everyone. They're not going to penalize anyone. You know, if your sponsorships are going to drop you for speaking, now I could see like a electronic sponsorship, Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird. I could see someone like that dropping you if you come out and start speaking against it. But if, you know, Mega Bass, you know, drops you, or St. Croix drops you because you were speaking ill against a tournament organization, why would you want to work with a company like that anyways? That's my whole thing, is like, I don't, you know, I stand really strong on my values and my morals and stuff like that. I'm the guy that will cut off my nose to spite my face. And 100%, I wouldn't stick around if I felt like I was being wronged. I wouldn't want to work with sponsorships that weren't willing to stand by me. Granted, there's a threshold of what I would expect a sponsorship to stand by. But if I came out and said, hey man, you guys are DQing a bunch of people over dumb stuff, hey man, this new rule set is not working out. We need to talk about it. Hey man, forward-facing sonar is a total joke and it's ruining our sport and ruining our industry. If a sponsorship's willing to drop you over stuff like that, why would you want to work with them? You know? So it tells me that these people are, they're just spineless. You know, they're just spineless people that are just out there to get a paycheck. And they don't really care about anything. They don't really care about the direction the sport's going like Randy says they do. You know, that's the one thing I guess I could say good about Randy, honestly, is he's willing to speak up about it. I'm sure it's hurt his career. I mean, I know he's not competing like he used to. He's like picking and choosing what series he wants to fish and stuff. But at least he's willing to stand up what he feels is right. That's how I see it. I don't know of any other YouTuber that is speaking ill against forward-facing sonar or the tournament organizations like he is. You know, I've seen other videos from other professionals that are, you know, they kind of, they'll talk about their disdain or how just annoyed, I guess, they are with the way direction things are going, but they're not to the level Randy has. You know, so, hey, hats off to you, Randy. Look at that. Bad hair. I just woke up. Sorry. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so, I mean, at least Randy's willing to stand on business and you know, voice his opposition and put his money where his mouth is. I mean, how many sponsorships has he lost? Did Megabass drop him because he's been speaking ill? So, I don't know. So, I think that Randy's either BSing us about how many guys are really that unhappy. Excuse me. How unhappy they are. I think he might be bullcrap. That might all be bullshit about how many people are really unhappy and they're not willing to stand up. And you got to remember, you know, bass fishermen, they're like good old boys. These aren't the guys that back down from a fight. At least I wouldn't expect them to be. So it's hard for me to believe that there's, you know, half of an organization or, you know, a third of an organization that is so so unhappy with how things are going. They're unwilling to voice their opinion. I find that hard to believe. So I think Randy's making some of it up, and yeah, like I said, I mean, you have free speech in this country. You can say whatever you want, but there can be consequences to your speech. And speaking ill of the dead, I think we should all agree is very distasteful. And I wouldn't want an employee working for me that was willing to mock such a horrific loss of life in front of their friends, their family, their fans. The world got to see that. So, and he was, you know, expressing his free speech and reaching across the aisle to have these conversations, Randy. So, but I haven't heard a peep out of you. You know, you definitely dive into politics quite a bit on your channel, and I haven't heard a word about how disgusted you are with what happened to Charlie Kirk. So, take that for what it is.